Right. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Lindop District 92 board meeting at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
For President Hannah,
Present.
for Vice President Taylor,
Present.
for Secretary Griffin,
Present.
Board Member Buchanan, absent, Board Member Dawson,
Present.
Board Member Morris,
Present.
Board Member Williams-Wolford, absent.
All right. All right. Pledge allegiance. Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, moment of silence. I ask that you please put all cell phones on vibrate. Thank you. Moving right along, public comment. There are none. All right. Moving on along to FOIA requests.
Yes, there was one FOIA request asking about which specific books have been asked to be banned by parents. And we did not have any books that were asked to be banned, and so the FOIA request has been satisfied.
Thank you very much. Upcoming events and correspondence, Madam Secretary.
Okay, I was not given any correspondence, and the upcoming events are listed within our agenda, so please read that at your leisure.
Thank you so much. Moving along to consent agenda. I make a motion that the board approve the regular open session meeting minutes for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023, board retreat special open session meeting minutes for Friday, July 14th, 2023, board retreat special open session meeting minutes for Saturday, July 15th, 2023, the board retreat special open session meeting minutes for Sunday, July 16th, 2023, the special open session meeting minutes for Monday, July 31st, 2023, Lindop District 92 payroll for July 18th, 2023 through August 14th, 2023 in the amount of $158,247.63. Lindop District 92 activity account reconciliation for July 2023 of Lindop District 92 accounts payable for July 18th, 2023 through August 14th, 2023 in the amount of $254,843.21. And first read of policies 280, 2170, 445, 4100, 5230, 610, 6190, 6240, 7275, 7305, 825, and 895. Can I have a second, please?
Cheryl Griffin, I second.
Roll call, please.
For President Hannah,
Yay.
Vice President Taylor,
Yay.
Secretary Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Buchanan, absent, Board Member Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Morris,
Yay.
Board Member Williams-Wolford, abstain.
Thank you. Old business. Update on double hydrovection. Start.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. The update on the oven, this is an oven that was brought to you previously as part of the National School Lunch Program grant. Scott originally applied for this grant. We were awarded the grant, and he used the entirety of the grant to purchase this oven. When it arrived and Mr. Ballantyne was able to get a hold of the manual, we realized that the installation costs for the oven were probably in excess of $20,000. It required plumbing, would have broken up the floor for a floor drain, cold water line, and then on top of that, the installation cost. So we did get a quote for the plumbing, and it just seemed like it was unreasonable to be able to do that. Plus, that hydrovection oven would have required additional training for the staff. So I think it was just, incidental in what happened. But either way, the hydrovection oven was delivered in July, about a month earlier than we expected. And so what we decided to do was reach out to the manufacturer and the supplier of the oven to find out what the cost would be to return it. And if we did that, we reached out to the state to find out if we could spend the grant on other appliances. As it turns out, the restocking fee is quite hefty at $10,000. But if we were to pay that $10,000, which is part of what's being asked of the board tonight, we will then be able to spend the entirety of the $37,000 on additional equipment. That additional equipment, I believe, is the next agenda item. So I think I'll just pause there and see if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, I can go through the equipment that we're looking to purchase with the grant.
Thank you for your presentation. My question to you, and I just want to make sure that I heard correctly. We can't use, we have determined that we're not going to use the oven because the cost to install it exceeds what we potentially thought.
Correct.
Okay, then the second part of my question is to send it back. It's $10,000 restocking fee
Correct.
that we're gonna miss out on. So the state is saying that we can use the money on other things, but we still gonna be out $10,000.
Correct. So it's a matter of, I'm sorry, go ahead if you had more.
Go ahead.
What we're looking at is it would either be one double oven that far exceeds the capabilities of that oven, far exceed what our kitchen staff needs. I talked to Ms. Smith in the kitchen and I asked her, what are we really going to use this for? And it's really warming meals. Essentially, that's it. You know, warming meals, maybe some baked goods, but otherwise there's no need for all of the elaborate technology that's built into this oven. The oven is so expensive at $38,000 that the table that's before you on the screen, that represents the proposed, the quote on the right is what we've gotten for essentially 5 different pieces of equipment that would fit within that grant budget. So it's a matter of either having a $38,000 oven and coming out of the grant and $20,000 of installation, excuse me, installation costs to go along with it. So that $20,000 would come out of the budget. Or if we're able to send that back and pay $10,000 that would come out of the budget, we can replace 5 pieces of equipment that all average about 19 to 23 years old that's in the kitchen right now. And so that includes a double roll-in refrigerator. That's where the kitchen staff would roll in stacks of trays of food that's ready to go into the oven. That gets held in the refrigerator in the morning. That would also include an ice maker and an ice dispenser. And this is kind of twofold. It would benefit not only the kitchen staff by producing more ice and ice available for special events, but also some staff do go in there and use the ice maker. And rather than having them stick their hands into the bin with a scoop, they can simply put their cup up against the dispenser, get some ice, and get out of the kitchen staff's way. The Blodgett Zephyr 200 double oven, that is in fact the model that's in the kitchen right now. The current one is 20 years old. And so that is what initiated the grant in the beginning. When Scott went out for that grant, that piece of equipment was the top of the line for what Ms. Smith wanted replaced in the kitchen. That would be an exact swap, model for model. The installation team will be able to take the wiring off the back of the existing one and put it on the new one and roll it into place. It requires no plumbing, no drain in the floor, none of that stuff. And then the last item is a milk cooler, which the one that's currently down in the kitchen doesn't work. And so Taher Foods, who provides our food service, they've brought one in for us to borrow for the time being. At some point that could be taken away, and we want to make sure that we have a milk cooler that works for when we need it.
Cheryl Griffin, I have one question. At the time when we were looking at making the new purchase, was there no research done on the installation of that?
I don't have any information about the installation costs with that model.
Okay.
For when the original request was made, the suppliers, restaurantsupply.com, I have documentation that says that hydrovection oven was requested and approved by the state. And so the purchase was made. We have not paid anything, but the oven has been delivered. So they want payment for something. So we're either, paying for that oven and dealing with the installation costs, which at this point probably wouldn't be able to take place until winter break, just because of the nature of the it's essentially construction in the kitchen that would have to take place. Or we can initiate the process of sending that item back and then procuring the additional items.
Man, that's heavy.
Connie Taylor. I don't want to beat a dead horse because it already happened. The refrigerator is here. We have it. You're telling us that
Oven.
the oven,
Yes.
I'm sorry. You're telling us at this point that it's not cost effective to keep it. So the idea is to send it back. My question to you is, the original grant, what was the total cost of the grant that we got? Did that max out? What?
Yeah, it's that the second line there, $37,484. That is the amount of the grant funding that we received. The cost of that Zephyr oven was $38,800, I believe. So the entirety of the grant was going to go to one piece of equipment. And how that occurred, I just don't know.
That's fine, I understand.
Yeah,
Okay, so the consensus of the team is saying that to pay the restock fee of the 10 and just get the items that are on the spreadsheet here. And it would be still covered under the grant, so we wouldn't have to come out of pocket because, well, we would
slightly.
for like almost $5,000 out of pocket, plus on top of that, the 10K.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else? Any other board members? Morris? Dawson?
Nope.
Ms. Williams, Wilford?
What was the original cost to install this oven? Did you say 20,000?
Yeah, the initial plumbing quote was about $12,000 or $13,000. And that didn't include the estimated cost for installing the oven, which probably is going to be, part of that's going to be similar because these ovens are 450 pounds each. So Mr. Valentine might be able to speak to how they did it last time, but they had to bring in a crane to bring the oven down the ramp and into the doorway. So part of that cost is going to be a wash regardless of what oven is brought in. But this one required the additional plumbing. The plumbing had specifications about the heat of the water coming out of the unit. So the plumbing had to take 160 degrees of water coming through that into the floor drain. And so there are a lot of very specific things that would need to happen prior to being able to even put that unit into place. And so.
I'm sorry, I do have another question. So it sounds like what I heard you say was that it's gonna be a wash. Because we're gonna pay $10,000. We're gonna back to the grant. We're gonna pay an additional $5,000 to get the additional purchase of the 3 things that, well, 6 things that are there. But you indicated that all these items are 20+ years old. So the oven that we have, that we're gonna send back, our oven here, how old is that oven?
That one's about 20 years old as well.
So I don't understand why we won't pay the cost to keep the oven that we have, because we're gonna still be out of pocket $15,000. Now, I do understand that the other 6 items on here are 20+ years old as well, but that's a big gap. So are we still under warranty with the product that I'm sure we're not?
No, I mean, most of the items in the kitchen are gonna be like a 3-year warranty at the max. And these items are all 20 years old. And in there is a double oven to replace the 20-year-old one. I just want to make sure that was clear.
Oh, so there is an oven in there to replace the one we sent
Yeah,
back.
it's in the middle. It's the line item. The far right, by the way, is the quote. So what they were trying to do, the first number is the suggested retail price. The quote is the discount the supplier is giving us for getting additional equipment. And so the total for us would be $40,394. And then, the installation cost for the oven would be electrical wiring, which should be hopefully nominal, but we don't have a quote for that at this point. It's just the installation of an oven in general is going to be the same to a degree. But when you add all of the plumbing items that come with the one that's currently here, the cost goes through the roof.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off. So sorry.
that's fine. Go ahead.
So the oven that we're ordering, it doesn't require the same installation as the oven that we're sending back?
It doesn't require the water supply line, the plumbing in the floor. Like they would have had to jackhammer up the floor to attach a floor drain into the existing floor drain system.
So all the items that's on here, that's our baseline price. It doesn't, that's including installation or any other things that we need?
The only item that would require anything more than just moving it into position and plugging it in should be the oven, or the double oven. There's a warming oven that gets rolled into place, plugged in the wall. The milk cooler, the refrigerator, I think is even a plug in the wall. And the ice maker has a little bit of plumbing, but that's already partially existing because of the ice maker that's in the kitchen. So the oven itself would require a little bit of wiring. Everything else is roll in, plug in, and good to go.
Okay, and this would take care of all the utilities that's downstairs currently? So in essence, we'll have all new appliances in the kitchen?
Not all new, but five new pieces. There's 6 line items, but 2 of them go together because it's the ice maker and the ice dispenser. So you'd have 5 new appliances in the kitchen. And that means that if we're successful in getting this coming year's grant money, we can knock off other items. There's a fridge that's sitting in the walk-in freezer area that is dead, that just doesn't work. And there's a couple other items I know that they would look at replacing as well that don't work quite as well as they should. So this would do a good job of really knocking out a lot of the appliances that are past their useful life.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry. The item number 2 and 3 on there is just coded. I can't I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot to add the descriptor on there. That is the ice maker and the ice dispenser. So if you've been in a hotel,
That's fine.
And
I
you
just
see-
wanted to know what it was. Thank
yeah,
All right. Mr. Valentine, can you come up to the mic for me, sir? Mr. Morris?
Good evening, Board of Education, community and staff.
Explain that new.
So originally, the oven was gonna be replaced. I believe the era came, we was trying to get an upgraded model of that oven. And I guess we didn't look in too much into the details. So I know Scott ordered it. So it was just an error. And we got it here. We know that this oven need a water line, like Mr. Andy said. We have to bust open the floor inside the kitchen. So yeah, I think it's the best idea of going by the way that he's saying, and just return it instead of trying to get that oven installed, because that oven have capabilities that we don't need here at the building that we'll never use, so.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, just the math of it. We're gonna pay out about 20,000, but we'll get $40,000 worth of equipment essentially, right?
the restocking fee is the $10,000, and then the equipment cost would be about 40. 30, and I can go back to them and tell them that our grant is 37,400.
Right.
If there's anything else they can do, they might be able to knock it down. But worst case, the quote that we've gotten for these appliances is 40,300.
No,
So it'd be that plus the 10 would
Right.
be essentially the bulk of the cost. The last item would be just getting it is a 900-pound oven. Getting that into the building would be the resulting cost, but that piece of it wouldn't change regardless if it's the one that's at the school.
you still gotta get one
Yeah.
in there.
So that part I just kind of look at as a wash.
Right.
So it'd be about 50,300. There is a freight, the reason I said approximately 10,000,
Mhm.
they haven't got me the full return authorization, including freight back to the manufacturer.
Gotta ship it.
So it will be somewhere between 9,500 and hopefully 11,000 at the max. But even still, we will utilize the full amount of the grant funding and cross off so many pieces of equipment that we can focus on other things the next wave.
Are we getting the other pieces from the same people? Or
We're getting it from the same supplier.
Mhm.
And I actually considered not purchasing Blodgett because of the restocking fee. Because we went to them and asked them for a discount on that, just because public entity, it's not an endless budget.
Mhm.
And they claimed to knock off 5%. It really wasn't that much. But I went down and asked Ms. Smith in the kitchen and I said, is it easier for you and your staff to get this exact model? Or do you want me to shop around? And she said, if we get this one, we can hit the ground running. So she preferred to get that model and have something that the staff is comfortable using. So that's how that conversation went.
I'm
I just-
sorry, one more question.
Hold up, just one second. I know we had, I just wanted to basically, I think we're like 60,000 that we pay out, but I know the grant was for like 37.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to see brass tacks at the end of it, maybe 20,000 we come out of pocket for, is that
It
right?
should be the 10 plus whatever the insulation is for the oven.
And so that's another 10. I'm just trying
And
to
I-
see.
Because
Cause
that's so long, ago, we don't know how much that costs, do we?
yeah,
So the installation of the oven probably should be under $3,000.
okay.
or less.
So we're talking $13,000 that we come out of, but we've got $40,000 worth of equipment. Is that about right? That's what I just wanted to make sure. Looks like it's a good deal. Okay. No further questions.
No, we can't, we're gonna install all the other equipment in-house, but the oven we can't install in-house.
What is the projected date that, once this is purchased? And what's the projected date of it, being, in-house? Is it gonna happen over spring break, or what are we looking at?
I think we're gonna get the estimated delivery date once we do the purchasing, so we have to go out there once we actually submit the order.
And one more thing. Just logistically, what we want to do is be able to get the existing oven back and make sure they're not going to hit us with any additional fees and surprise us with anything before we move forward with any other purchases of their equipment. But they've told us what the restocking fee is. We're waiting for the freight. We want to get that knocked out with board's approval prior to initiating the process of the additional equipment. We don't want to be stuck with two ovens is
Right.
basically the deal there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we, ask them about the installation? I know it seems to be apples to apples, Ms. Smith is saying, but did we ask them about the installation of this double oven?
This one is just wiring, so it would require an electrician. The other one would require an electrician and the plumbing cost. That this model here, this 200E in the middle, that doesn't require any plumbing of any kind. It's exactly what we have in the kitchen now. And they should be able to, they could probably even reuse the wiring that's in there. We probably want them to use new wiring, but
We won't need to upgrade our wiring because it's 2 decades old.
we should not need to, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
All minds clear, board?
Thank you.
Have, the motion to purchase the rolling refrigerator double oven if we want.
Cheryl Griffin, I make a motion that the board approve to purchase a roll-in refrigerator, double oven, food warmer, ice maker, ice dispenser, and milk cooler from restaurantsupply.com to be paid from the National School Lunch Program Grant. Can I get a second?
I
I
have a
second.
question before. I think this motion needs to be amended to include the actual cost of what we're spending. It doesn't have a cost.
Yeah, I don't think they know the exact, because they were saying it's gonna change with installation and stuff.
We gotta put a cap on it or
Something on there.
Something gotta be on here. What if the stuff come back double the price?
Yeah, if you want to use the numbers from the previous
Um,
slide and amend it, that's okay with me, but
Yeah. So we could say it not to exceed, Vice President, would you be comfortable with that? Not to
Yeah,
exceed
Not to
this?
exceed at least what we saying with installation and maybe possible wirings, what we saying, 46,000? And what would the funds, and where would the additional funds come from?
for what's coming out of the budget, it just come from I'm assuming operations and
Operating.
maintenance.
So then we should add that as well, not to exceed 46,000, and the money is coming from the operations budget. Want to restate the motion?
And I would make sure to include the restocking costs if we're doing that. Because it'd be the 40,000, this is what.
So we looking at.
That's just the
40
cost of the.
We looking at a potential cost of 41,000 plus the restocking fee, plus the taxes or installation or whatever. For installation. So we're saying not to exceed what, $60,000?
I think it could be less than that, but if you're comfortable with 60, that's fine. I think,
I mean, it may be less, give or take, but
Yeah.
at this point, we don't know.
okay. Yeah, that's fair. I think that would suffice. And that would give us recourse to go back to them if we can get that quote knocked down even further.
So, Mr. Arndt, my question, 60,000, like Vice President just said, is that a comfortable number
Yeah.
before we put it down?
Yes.
over
Thank you,
what
sir.
it Probably be. And that's over what it would probably be.
But we got enough cushion room in
cushion.
case. All right, so not to exceed 60,000.
Coming from whatever fund balance is coming from.
And if I might add, I would think that going forward, this would be a lesson for us and that we would research installation and so forth, because that's a big hit that we're taking on us.
If I may interject, it sounds like this is something that Scott did before, while Scott was here. Guys were beating up on Mr. Arndt.
No, we're not beating up on nobody. It's not a beat up. It's just a
I'm
lesson.
saying going forward.
Just under, what I'm saying is that Scott did it. This was something that Scott wanted to upgrade for our kitchen staff, not knowing what all it entailed. So like Mr. Valentine said, we made a mistake. Here moving forward, though, we're all on the same page of what needs to happen, and we need to do some more digging before we just say, yes, that's the one we want.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Correct.
Madam Secretary.
Okay, I make a motion that the board approve to purchase a roll-in refrigerator, double oven, food warmer, ice maker, ice dispenser, and milk cooler from restaurants.com to be paid from the National School Lunch Program grant, not to exceed $60,000. Can I get a second?
Second,
I'll leave it alone.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Buchanan.
Yeah.
Board President Hannah.
Yeah.
Vice President Taylor.
Yay.
Board Member Williams-Wolford. Board Member Dawson.
yay.
Board Secretary Griffin.
Yay.
Board Member Morris.
Motion carries. Make a motion, well, can I have a motion, the board approved?
Wait, I think we skipped something. So number one in old business, we didn't address because it encompass number two, correct?
Well, yes.
So we gotta address one.
I think number one was like
talked about-
information purposes only, and then we went
So
into
that was
number
just a-
two.
Presentation.
Yes.
You're right.
Okay. Sorry,
No problem. Okay, number three.
3.
Can I have a motion, the board approved to replace the current video camera system? Ms. Taylor.
I make a motion that the board approves to replace the current video camera system at a cost of $7,925 for wiring, Videocom, $9,945 for installation, next gen electric, and $99,289 for robust cameras, Howard Technology, to be paid from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, ESSER Fund.
Second. Please.
Second.
Ms. Ellis, you.
Good evening, Board of Education, community members, staff, guests. So just so the board knows, one of those vendors is a minority vendor. We've used them for many years, Videocom. For the record, the camera systems today are recorded and playable through the cloud easily. The new systems could do that. Current system records in a hard drives in the office area, takes up a lot of space. Today, cameras also have batteries for backup in case power outages go out. They also can record license plate readers. So if somebody picks somebody up who we don't know, we can get the license plate off the car, and they have facial recognition to know if there's anybody banned in our school. It may be a sex offender. And they also record audio as well. So new technology today versus what we have currently. So this is what the cameras currently look like. As you can see, this is all the way to the end. That's one person on the other side at the end. This is what the new ones look like. It's the same spots. We replaced the camera with and this is where it looks like zoomed in. As you can see, I'm dancing around. You can see my hands, my legs, and there's a branch blocking me as well, which can be trimmed, but when I did this recording, and you could even see the red light for the stoplight. They also do 360. As you can see, I'm doing a 360 around the room right now, going up and down. So it captures more than just a regular camera. So it's pretty cool, that technology today. And we went through 3 different vendors to get pricing, Now, these are all cloud-based, so we require software to be played through the cloud. And the best deal we thought was that they could do the license plate reader, and the facial recognition was Rhombus, Howard Technologies. And it was 5 years. We get these cameras for 5 years with licensing for $99,289. Next Gen Electric would be mounting them, installation, $9,945. Videocom, which I mentioned earlier, they do the wiring, they run the wires to the building. They don't charge us to do it after school, which is very rare for a vendor to do. So the kids aren't here, so they're really good with us, work with us on that, and they know our building very well. So are there any questions? And there was brought to the technology committee in April, and so we finally got all the pricing together and we brought to you now. So questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ellisque. I do remember this in a technology meeting, but something just came to mind. So we're going with the third quote, the $99,289 plus the electrical and Videocom. My question to you is, the current system that we have is out of warranty, right?
It's been out of warranty for a long time.
Okay, so all these 3 companies have agreed as contractual, I can't get it out, that they're gonna work together in the steps. And when is this work gonna be completed?
Would contact, so there's a 3-step process. Step 1 is have Videocom come here, run the wires. Once Videocom runs the wires, Videocom is done. Next Gen Electric would work with Rhombus, which they have agreement together, and install it and work together with them. We already have existing wiring, so that wiring would already be used for the cameras. Videocom is just adding more wiring to the project.
Okay, understood. Maybe I just missed what you said. When is the anticipation of this being installed?
I would have to contact Videocom to work around their schedule to come install it evenings when it's best available, and then that's when I would start. They would start.
Okay, so in this motion, so that I understand correctly, you want us to approve the dollars?
Those 3 vendors is the vendors we're recommending to the Board of Education to approve.
Okay, thank you.
So these cameras will be inside and outside, Mr. Ellis?
Yes, indeed.
And so they will be recording inside and outside?
Yes, and the current ones do that as well.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Do we currently have signage that make people aware that they are being recorded?
I think we have 1 or 2 signs around there that they're being recorded, but we could also add more in around the building, say, video, like main office area or somewhere like that, but I know the one sign that says 24-hour surveillance around the school in the front.
Surveillance, I get, but normally it also says it's being recorded. The surveillance, I don't know, I always thought it did not mean audio as well. Maybe I misunderstood that, but just, I don't know, for liability purposes.
We could put signs, that's not a problem.
To the board, I think we should let people know their voices are being recorded. Cause did we know that when we're in the hallway or whatever, that we're potentially being recorded? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
So you're saying that all the cameras that are being installed,
Have
they're gonna have they have the capability of a voice recorder?
They do have the capability.
Currently, they do.
The ones we currently have do not.
No, the ones we have now are not.
Okay.
The ones that we are going to purchase will.
Have the capabilities too.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, that may be something that we can check into to see if we have to have signage that says that your voice is being recorded. But maybe, just check and make sure we're not breaking any laws.
I think just the err on the side of caution. I've been in places where it says, smile, you're on camera and you're being recorded. That way it just lets me know as I walk in that establishment, I am being recorded. And so I'd rather err on the side of caution, especially in the Sue Happy world.
Sign, we can put it up. There ain't nothing to talk about. Put a sign up. I got a camera and record at my house, but I ain't got no signs up. I'm just saying, we can put a sign up. It ain't no big deal.
We can put stickers on the doors. I mean,
Okay.
if you want signs without the building, it's a Dr. Jackson call.
Thank you.
Question, you say these are gonna be cloud-based? It's
They,
not,
they record to basically how it works is they record to the camera.
oh.
And then we
okay.
if we wanna pull footage, it requires two-factor authentication. Then
Okay.
I have to log on to the software and oppose it from the camera. And then it's
Right.
basically, it's not stored on the cloud because it's a lot of bandwidth to have to.
Right.
Yeah, so
okay.
we don't do that, but we pull a, but it's visible. Does that make sense? It's stored on a chip on the camera, and then I'd
Okay.
be able to pull it from the cloud.
And so my guess is that it's, I don't know, secure, just
It-
because obviously, it's, you know,
Two-factor authentication, that's just,
that.
every time I log in, I have to get an email passcode and I have to submit, and then every time we log on our phones, we have to enter our password in as well. They're texted to us, so
So nobody.
pretty
else
high
has
secure.
access. Okay, that was my question. And just lastly, is there a monthly fee with this as well?
Well,
You know,
it's
because,
5 years, terms 5 years, so that's included in there. The other ones are 3 years and 1 year,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's what you're paying for.
no, I mean, that's the camera cost, but you know how, like, as far as,
It's 5 years, so it's 5 years what we get the software for. After 5 years, we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
come back to you, and then
yeah, okay.
if we went through Skynet, Motorola, we come back to you in 3 years. If we came back to Proven IT, Verkada, we come back to you in a year. And say we need to renew the software X amount of dollars.
So the software is included with the
In
camera
the 5
cost?
years, yes.
Yeah, got you.
It's
Okay, there's
several-
there's no outside cost except the
It's included in there.
99,000.
And it should be in the board book, the breakdown of what it costs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any more
I just wanted to
questions,
make
board?
sure it was included in that 99.
Yeah, it's included.
Thank you. Mr. Morris? Mr. Buchanan? Madam
Thank-
Secretary? Vice President? Ms. Williams-Wilford? Roll call, please.
Secretary Griffin,
Yay.
Mr. Buchanan,
Yeah.
President Hannah.
Yeah.
Mr. Dawson,
Yay.
Mr. Morris,
Yeah.
Vice President Taylor,
Yay.
Ms. Williams Wilford.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Update on masonry project, Mr. Valentine.
Good evening again, Board of Education, community and staff. To update you on the masonry project that started the first week of June. We are now finalized with the project. The last day of the project was August 11th. So everything is totally complete. This is the picture on the right. This is a complete photo of all the tuck pointing that been done. We did ask for a couple change orders during this project. One was the retaining wall inside the courtyard that has been fixed. Also, the pillars inside the courtyard was deteriorating a little, and that also has been fixed. And we did ask for a change order to demolish the chimney down to 6 feet off the roof. That also has been done. Everything went smooth and everything went well, but no problem. So everything is complete. Any questions?
Any questions, board members? Ms. Williams-Wilford? Madam Vice? Madam
Thank-
Secretary?
No, thank you.
Mr. Buchanan? Mr. Morris? Mr. Dawson? I have none either. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion that the board approve the regular closed session meeting minutes for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023.
Tanya Taylor, a second.
Roll call, please.
President Hannah.
Yeah.
Vice President Taylor,
Yay.
Secretary Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Morris, Board Member Williams Wilford,
No.
Board Member Buchanan.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving right along to new business. Recommend approval to enter the intergovernmental agreement. Dr. J.
Yes, and so this is our yearly agreement that we signed with West 40. And it is really for us to be able to send children in lieu of expulsion to the safe school, or if they need to be in a smaller setting. And it is also for our ALOP advocate that comes in and works with our 5th through 8th grade children who are most at risk. We've done this since about 2015, so this is just a yearly contract that comes up. Nothing has changed with it. Are there any questions?
Mr. Dawson?
Oh, no, no questions.
Mr. Morris? Mr. Buchanan?
No.
Madam Secretary?
No,
I'm sorry, I do have a question. Just for our new board member, can you just give him a brief description of what a lofts?
ALOP, yeah.
Yeah.
And so ALOP is the Alternative Learning Options Program. And those are an advocate, which we do have. We've had it for about 7-8 years. But she is also able to have meetings with students. She's a licensed social worker. She meets with students if they're having issues in classrooms, just trying to get them on task and having a space where they're able to come out and just have a talk. She also has conversations with the parents as well. If there's something that comes up that is concerning, to make sure that she calls that. And she also speaks with our social workers who are on staff, which will now be Mrs. Kiefer until we get another social worker. We currently have one.
Thank you.
The safe schools, let me just tell you about that too. The safe schools, if, and I said this earlier, but if any of the children might have had some discipline issues, but we did not, the board decided that they did not want to expel the child out of the school district totally, there would be an option for them to attend West 40 Safe School, smaller environment. And we've had a lot of success with the children going there because of the smaller environment. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Williams-Wilford?
Is there a cost for this? Or just when we send the students?
No, just when we send the students, like if they were going to be expelled, we do pay for that. Yes.
All right. Mr. Morris?
I make a motion that the board approve to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with West 40 for the 2023-2024 school year.
I second.
All right, roll call, please.
Board Member Buchanan.
Yay.
Board Member Dawson.
Yay.
Board Member Williams-Wolford.
Yay.
Board Member Morris.
Yay.
Board Vice President Taylor.
Yay.
Board Secretary Griffin.
yay.
Board President Hannah.
Yay. Motion carries. Presentation on state of the district, Ms. Opara Safaro and Dr. Betts.
Good evening, board members, community members, teachers, staff. Thank you so much for being here. So today we are going to be talking about student achievement and curriculum. So if you look right here, you will see our preliminary scores. So again, this is our preliminary scores for the IAR. Usually we're pretty clean, meaning that nothing changes. However, I just need to stress that this is our preliminary IAR scores. So if you look at our preliminary IAR scores, if you look at meets and exceeds, we are now at 37%. Previously, we were at 24, and then you can see we're at 17. So now we're at 37%. But what does that really mean? That really means that only 3 out of 10 are meeting and exceeding on the IAR. But if you look down all the way to the right, did not meet, we reduce the number of students that did not meet. As well as when we look at mathematics. So with math, as you know, math literacy is what we're focusing on now. We are focusing on math literacy. The ask of the board last year, we started with 8th grade in terms of ELA, in terms of the prescriptions. And you can see what you asked for was for us to develop that and go through all of the grade levels. I'm going to talk about it momentarily, but I want you to know that now we're going to be focusing on math. So you'll see the numbers changing for math as well. So these are the preliminary scores right now for mathematics. So the prescriptions. This was the ask of the board. So we did this. We started the prescriptions last year with grade 8 ELA. So each student will have an individual prescription plan that will be used for planning and differentiating instruction. We are doing this for math and reading throughout the whole school. So kindergarten through grade 8, we are doing the prescriptions for everyone. We started it with ELA last year, and now we're going with ELA and mathematics for every single student in the school. That's where you saw with the preliminary, that's where you saw that growth were the prescriptions. So what's happening with the prescriptions is teachers are getting to know their students on a different level. Previously, you have individualized educational plans for students. We did the prescriptions, which is differentiating and honing in on what each child needs. So this year, what happened was that the new teachers, all the teachers got to see who are the students, who are my babies, who are the children coming into the classroom. They all have the prescriptions from last year to look over. They all have the data so that they know who is in my classroom. So they're able to look at the prescriptions, they're able to look at the data, and what else is good is how. So Wednesdays, we have PLCs that are taking place. 2 of the PLCs per month are honing in on prescriptions, as well as we've developed team plans. So each teacher has 2 plan periods. One of those plan periods are team plans where we're going in, we're progress monitoring, we're looking at the prescriptions to make sure that the students as well as the teachers are looking at the prescriptions every day. It's not just a mouthpiece. We heard what you asked for. We went to the retreat and we know what your ask is, and that's what we're doing. We are going to bring Lindop into another level. We are reducing or closing the achievement gap based on what we're trying to do in terms of knowing our students and differentiating instruction. And so these are just examples of 3rd grade, 4th grade, and I think 5th grade of the prescriptions for math and reading that I put in there for you to see. We're doing this whole school. So again, we started with grade 8, and now we're doing it whole school for math and reading. Content area teachers are also looking at literacy in terms of non-fictional texts. So social studies and science are also involved in the prescriptions. Any questions? So we're going to be doing, we're partnershiping with parents. So we're going to be having meetings, Dr. Betts, myself, the general education teacher, as well as the parents, to see what their child needs in order to close the achievement gap and how the parents can help their child at home in order to close the achievement gap. So this is all in community working together. Any questions?
Not a question, but I would say a comment. I'm proud of what you guys have accomplished and the direction that you're heading. As you said, you heard us and you are responding accordingly. And
Yes.
thank you for that.
Thank you.
There's-
we
I'm
heard
sorry,
you.
I'm sorry, did you? No, I had a question. No. Okay, I was gonna say the other thing, we do have some additional charts because Jesse Lyons, our data consultant, gone through that and met with us thoroughly about it. But if you look at growth, and everyone was really looking at growth before we know we need growth before we can get to proficiency. But in that 8th grade where we were targeting last year, they had 99% growth. 99% growth is what they had. They didn't get to the 8th grade level, but they made 99% growth. And so we know that this works and they're going to continue implementing it. It's been with blood, sweat, and tears, but absolutely worth it. Thank you.
When you say 99% growth, are you saying overall?
For the 8th graders.
Oh,
yes.
just for 8th grade?
For 8th grade, yes.
For their curriculum for math and reading, or?
Was it for both or for one? We have I don't want to misspeak.
I believe it was for both. Not having it in front of me, I do apologize for that, but we could get it to you if you're interested.
No, it's not necessary.
Okay.
I'm just making sure that I understand.
They were
what's being
really, they
said.
were quite high because actually having that literacy piece as a focus on the prescriptions really helped them with math. So the math was really high growth as well. I think they were able to really understand the like the stories and the problems that they were reading, and that helped them to decode and be able to solve and show what they know conceptually.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And good evening, Board of Education, Administration, and staff. We wanted to talk to you about the iReady program. In the spring of last year, we had curriculum associates, the iReady writers, come out to Lindop several times and meet with our teachers. They gave them many materials to work with in order to pilot. And I've asked Dr. Robertson, one of our amazing 4th grade teachers, to be here tonight as well to talk to you about the possibility of actually purchasing iReady. If we could purchase iReady, we would have some really high quality materials. And right now, our math materials are one of the biggest barriers that our teachers say they face in terms of implementing high quality instruction. So having access to iReady in full would allow us to get grade level work through to our students. It would give us really good core materials that are aligned to the Common Core state standards, which our current materials precede the Common Core. It would give us access to differentiated instruction and even enriching instruction for students who need to go above and beyond. And it would tell us a lot more about our students' conceptual understanding and their movement toward achievement if we could purchase these materials. Dr. Robertson's going to tell us a little bit about how teacher-driven this initiative has been and what the teachers are looking for and how iReady could potentially deliver those items for our teachers.
Good evening, board, administration, staff, and community members. As an educator here at Lindop, some of the things that we know that we needed was to get some curriculum in that can help with interventions. Another need that our students had was increasing fact fluency. And then we also want to be able to differentiate our instructions. And something that we learned through piloting iReady was that it had a lot of wealth materials for differentiating instructions for students who needed support, also for students who needed enrichment. There's also a piece that increases student discourse as well as collaboration, which was really, really great. And then another thing that we noticed was that on iReady, the questions are in the same format as the IAR questions. So with iReady, our students will have exposure to iReady formatted questions all year long and not just at the time of the test, which we thought would be very, very beneficial for our students.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson. So the cost of iReady is built over a 6-year subscription. So this is our proposal. We're looking at a total of $81,284, which would include all of the implementation, professional development that teachers would need to be successful with the program. If we break that down per year, it's $13,547 annually. And per student, it would be an annual cost of $36.71. We would pay for this through the use of Title I funds and Title IV funds, because both of those speak to raising student achievement and making sure that all students have equitable access to materials. So the amount that would be remaining that would need to come out of local funds would be around $17,000. Last year, I do submit a curriculum budget to our business office every year. And last year, because there were so many things back ordered after COVID, we never even, got to touch on that budget in full. So we would have potentially some costs that we have not used in the last year because we weren't able to obtain materials. So this is what we are proposing. And if you do have any questions, Dr. Robertson and I are happy to answer them.
Tanya Taylor, I do have a question. I commend you guys. I thank you. It is nice to hear that the percentages went up as far as the gains of the 8th grade students. My question to you is, what makes iReady better than anything else that we already currently using? My second question to you is a 6-year subscription. What if we decide in year 2 or even in year 1 that it really didn't help as far as the questions for the IAR? My third question to you is, will we have a non-contractual agreement with iReady to see in like 3 months if it's any viable? I mean, 3 months might not be a good trajectory of what the IAR test may look like, but do we have any leg room or cushion before we spend $82,000?
Can we work backwards through those questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So that's a really good question about the length of an implementation. So usually a curriculum publisher will provide a 1-year, a 3-year, and a 6-year subscription amount. It's cheaper to do the 6-year because then that's guaranteed for that company that you are going to be purchasing their materials. We would look at an implementation of 6 years at Lindop because we have a K-5 cycle. And so we would not want to disrupt the growth in that math and the steady implementation. Every year it gets better. Year 1 is always like by the book, like I'm going to follow it almost to the letter, by the page, do exactly as it says so that I know exactly what I'm doing and I'm learning as I go. But I have that to fall back on. In year 2 of implementation, we start to realize what worked and what didn't because we now have data with that subscription for a year. So year 2 is really making that foundation stick. Year 3 builds on it and it should get better from there. We've seen the same steady increase with the implementation of ReadyGen, and we're in year 6 of that right now. That was for reading. Your second question, I can't remember what it was. I'm so sorry.
I think the most important question to me, I didn't write them down myself, but I think the most important question to me is, here we are with another product, basically. And I'm just trying to figure out what we have. Are we saying it's not working, or are we saying that this is an enforcer as far as the IAR giving the students the questions in advance, or helping them learn the concepts of what is going to be on the test? I'm a little confused as to why now.
Really good
If you-
questions.
yeah,
Oh, go
and
ahead.
you
I'm
know
sorry.
what, you talked about, the teachers looking at it, number one, for the buy-in, how it was connected and giving us the same information that MAP does as a predictor. And so some of those sort of things.
So something that we noticed as teachers was the rigor in iReady was very much higher than what they're currently using. Another thing that we noticed is on IAR questions, a lot of them now is about breaking it down, showing your thinking. All of that's embedded in iReady curriculum. Another thing is it gives students an ability to take risk, explore, talk to each other, collaborate, which is all skills that the students need in order to increase their scores. Another thing that I really, really liked about iReady was the fact that it really differentiates instruction. So like once they're in the program, they'll be able to create groups for us that we can differentiate instructions. When we need to give new material, it's already there, it's already laid out. So it's really, really teacher friendly, it's student friendly, and it's rigorous. And I think our students really need that.
One more quick question. As far as professional development, the organization will come out, is it already jailed in this calendar year for K-3 or K-5? Because you say it takes at least, my counterpart told me it takes at least 5 years to get the curriculum up to speed. So what are we looking at as far as grade level? Where are we starting?
We currently don't have math materials that we can use. There are books in there from like when I was in middle school, which was a long time ago. In addition to that, there are books that precede the Common Core. So this would be, we would work with curriculum associates in order to get them to come out and do in-person implementation workshops with our teachers. I think their proposal breaks it down into 3 sessions, and those sessions are aligned to specific components of the scope of the curriculum through the school year. In addition, we would have access to them should we have any questions, and then we would repeat that training again for new teachers in the following years after that, just like we do right now.
Okay, so basically the time frame will be built into professional development. Okay, thank you.
Cheryl Griffin, I had one question. Would it be realistic to expect, say, quarterly reports on how well this program is working?
We'll do it every month. We'll give that to you every month in our state of the district. So as you'll see the progression going along.
Thank you.
Also, what Ms. Taylor also had a question about what makes iReady better than anything else and why was it chosen? So beside the fact that the teachers all agreed upon it, what was the core elements that you all were looking for?
So some of the things that we were looking for was, we needed support in interventions. We needed support with differentiating instruction. We also needed support in building our students' math fluency. We needed to change up how we did whole group and small group instruction. iReady is able to help us support in our small group and whole group instruction. Another thing that we liked was that iReady gives our teachers the ability to integrate reading. STEM is included with iReady. A cultural component, which makes students be able to connect better to the curriculum, is also included. So it was like an all-encompass program that we was able to pilot. We also utilized it in summer school. The teachers who was able to have it in summer school, the students find it engaging. There's a component where it's interactive. It's just a whole different, it's exciting. It's a whole different kind of curriculum than what we got now. Then the students enjoy it, they're engaged. And then we also saw data that showed other schools that use iReady and how their scores increased as well.
Thank you.
It's also sort of aligned with some of the things that were happening in Freedom School, which we're bringing throughout the entire year. And I know that that's not in the report, but if you would just give them a little a tidbit of what's been happening and how we're looking at incorporating the Freedom School model. They've already begun welcoming the people and the new staff coming in, but it will go on, and I'm not sure about the day. I don't want to mess it up. It'll come up.
So in terms of enthusiasm, in terms of what Dr. Robertson talked about, in terms of engaging students, that's the same thing we're doing every Monday. We're doing Harambe. So again, we heard your ask. And I'm so glad that you asked these questions and we're actually fulfilling what you asked. So we heard your ask in terms of bringing Freedom School into the school, and that's what we're doing. Every Monday from 8:25 to 9 a.m., we're having Harambe for the whole school. So the whole school will be up in the gymnasium. We will have the guest reader. We will be doing the theme song, as well as I think it's two cheers and chants, and then we'll have the guest reader. So, and that goes towards what Dr. Robertson just said, in terms of summer school, when students were using this math curriculum, how engaging and how fun it was. That's the same thing you're going to see throughout the school K-8 in the building.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Ms. Williams-Wilford.
First of all, thank you very much for bringing a teacher that was, could speak very fluently about the curriculum. So that's really exciting. But my question is, you talked about, Dr. Betts, how ancient our curriculum is. And I was just wondering, thank you for being very transparent about that as well. I was just wondering, do we have a curriculum map and how we review the curriculum in the district in a committee that does that, so that that does not happen again in any area of the curriculum?
We do. I currently have it mapped out through 2032, I believe. So going off of the 6-year cycle, or sometimes it's a 3-year cycle, we do have that mapped out. And then we request the teachers to be on those committees when those curriculums come up for review. So in this case, we asked math teachers to participate last spring.
So is there any other curriculum that we're outdated with, or is this the last piece of it?
Social studies. And I think that eventually we will need to look at science, because just the changes in what we know. We have really good science programs actually, but things are changing rapidly, and we probably will need to review and see if there's a newer version or if there's something better on the market eventually.
Thank you.
You can also provide a copy of the curriculum map that's out. Okay, thank you. So we'll make sure that we.
All right, Dawson.
Yeah, is this to replace, I know we were using IXL, so is this like a swap out, or are they being used in tandem, or is that not used anymore?
So no, IXL was not our curriculum. So our curriculum was investigations. IXL was a supplement that students were able to
Oh.
use at home.
Okay,
So,
so they
yeah.
can still use that. in
Correct.
addition to this. It's
Correct.
not like a swap. It's
No,
This
no.
is the main curriculum that's supplementary.
So IXL is not something that we want students using because they're at the endpoint of a device and there's no interaction. iReady has something already embedded in there that students will be able to use at home. So what iReady is doing is they're replacing investigations. So that, which was Common Core standards,
That's what it.
because
So
that's what we
outside
have.
of this, like this software, we don't have anything that would be sufficient. Well,
No,
like
not
if
at
we
this
didn't buy
time.
this.
No, not at this time. We do not. Because investigations is outdated. It's Common
okay.
Core.
Okay.
Also-
And Common Core was published in 2010.
Right. So obviously that gives us an idea of how dated that was.
Yes.
To board member Taylor's point, and you said that our students used it over the summer
Yes.
And
for
that's-
summer school.
without us purchasing it. That was
Correct.
like,
That was just a pilot.
yeah, right,
Yes.
okay. If, to her point, like since it's 6 years, if we didn't see, like when we get our state of the districts, the progression that you want,
We will.
we
have
are
faith.
going to be ever hopeful, ever
It-
hopeful.
it-
If we did not, what options will we have?
So the
If
reason,
software
the
wasn't-
reason why I said we will, is because we're honing in on tier 1 instruction. Tier 1 instruction goes back to your ask in terms of the prescription. That's what it is. It's always tier 1 instruction. So tier 1 instruction is what takes place in the classroom every day with the students. So the teachers are going to be using this curriculum. So it's all about instruction and making sure that the teachers have the professional development, understand the curriculum, understand their students in order to close the achievement gap. It goes down to the person who's there, which is tier 1 instruction. And
Yes, I'm sorry. I guess a burning question for me would be if the board approves this evening, are we on approval? It's just a presentation.
just a
For us to
person.
discuss.
When are we looking to implement this, being that school starts on Thursday?
One moment.
They've already had the pilots. They've already had the pilots. They still have those material. You've already spoken to, I don't remember the lady who you talked to, but.
Yeah, so Curriculum Associates has been out here several times to try to talk to our teachers and make sure they know even just how to use the pilot. So there's already been a preliminary sort of dive into what's there. However, we don't have student accounts right now. So we're piloting, but we don't have the full scope of what we could have and the depth that we could have with this that would speak to the student prescriptions and student achievement if we did own it.
Okay,
So as
so
soon as
I
possible.
understand that part.
Yeah.
As far as laying the foundation. So we use this in Freedom School or Summer School. So we piloted it for at least 6 weeks. So we got an idea, we test the waters, we know what it could be capable of. But I guess my question to you is, again, I don't know if this is a packet of a curriculum that starts day 1 of school, or is this just, the teachers would go as they want to develop their instruction. So I guess when you say you want us to purchase something for 6 years, it would be just saying we're not ready until, spring break. Would the 6 year start then? Like, how does that trajectory look?
Yeah, the 6 years would start when we purchase it.
So we wouldn't be behind. So
No.
basically the curriculum is teacher pulling it out, going through it, sort of like, this is day 1, this is what I'm gonna teach my class type of thing.
Yes, and the teachers all have teachers editions. They have the teachers guides and we have example student textbooks as well. So that's how we've been piloting it. So they could hit the ground running on Thursday, even if they don't have everything.
So this have already been, the foundation has been laid to all the teachers in the building saying this is what we want to use as our upcoming curriculum. And you have a buy-in with the whole staff saying, yes, we want to use this product.
I think this was the first maybe unanimous one.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
So, this is a software, correct?
It has a software component, yes, but it's not just software.
Okay, is it compatible with our current Chromebooks, iPads?
Yes.
Whatever we have?
Yes, it's
Okay.
web-based.
Okay, and then the other question is, so you're still, in a sense, piloting it now?
Yes, we have, through Dr. Robertson, though, built a really good relationship with Curriculum Associates, and she has been successful in obtaining materials for every teacher. They're physical materials in order to have access to the software and the online component so that each student can be tracked in their growth and achievement, we would need to purchase.
So right now, you're not able to track?
Well, we do it by hand.
Okay.
With our student prescriptions, triangulating to map, looking also at the IAR and then the classroom assignments.
And two more questions. And Principal, I hear you about 80% tier 1 instruction, but you still always have your tier 2s and tier 3s.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
so is that embedded within the curriculum? How do you address your tier 2s and tier 3s?
Yes.
And then the last question is Dr. J, when is this supposed to be up for, or if it would be coming before the board for purchase? Those are my last two questions.
All right, so for my question, yes, because of we're differentiating instruction. So the tier 2s, tier 3, in terms of intervention, yes, they are getting what they need. Because they're differentiating it, yes.
It also goes.
And yes, just like Dr. Robertson said, the curriculum has components for that as well as expanding. Go ahead.
And the good thing about this curriculum is that it changes with the student. So with the concept that we're teaching at the time. So if I'm doing a lesson on fractions, it'll tier the students out for that. So I can differentiate that way. So it differentiates all the time. It's a running program. So as new data come in, new groups can be made.
Are you able to put in the data and spit out homework for students differentiated
Yes.
based on the latest data?
Yes, and another good thing is that if I have an upcoming unit based on the data, it'll tell me what students need certain prerequisites going into that lesson, which is great as well. So it'll tell me what foundational skills the students need.
Okay, so what it sounds like to me, this is more of like a curriculum of a mentorship as well. You basically have tracking to say, this is what you need to do for XYZ student.
Yes, without waiting for MAP. And also it helps the teachers so that we can input this information into our prescriptions, which is something that's an initiative of our school.
Thank you.
So the final question was to Dr. J, if there was a future recommendation for purchasing this, or and if so, when?
So, we got all of the information and the slides. We did not put the recommendation on. If the board could give us a verbal okay, Curriculum and Associates, they're ready for us whenever that happens. We also talked to them about the speed in which we would need it, given if the board would agree upon that, but we would have it for the next one for final approval. But if we could go ahead and order the material now with an agreement from you all, then we would be able to do it, and they're ready for us. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Dawson, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Mr. Morris. Mr. Buchanan.
Yeah.
Madam Secretary. Madam Vice. Ms. Williams-Wilford. And I am also okay with that as well.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
I did have a statement about this, to the entire team. Thank you guys for all the hard work that you guys are doing. Dr. Robertson, thank you. Thank you for looking into.
Good job, good job. GOODJOB, good job, good job.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
All right. Got any more for us? Any more for us about this?
Not on curriculum.
Okay.
Alright.
McKinney-Vento update.
Good evening, board, administration, community and staff. So I'm just here today to give you an update on what McKinney-Vento has looked like and what our numbers are starting this school year. So the top chart shows the historical data of McKinney-Vento. You can see the numbers go up to like 44 students. We're starting the school year off with only 5 students McKinney-Vento. It was a lot of hard work, thanks to Josh, thanks to Ms. O, the front office staff, honestly, but we got it done. So, from the 41 students that we had last year on McKinney-Vento, the bottom chart shows kind of where they went. So, 5 of them graduated, they were 8th graders, 8 of them were foster students. So foster students used to fall under McKinney-Vento. They now have their own act, it's the Youth in Care. And so they have similar things, but it's just not McKinney-Vento, so they have been moved. 3 students moved out of the district. 1 student actually established residency. And then we had 19 students that were removed from McKinney-Vento based on the investigations that were done.
That's for this school year, during registration?
Yes.
Good job.
We,
good job.
we did not need to have one dispute meeting. So part of the investigations, talking to our regional McKinney-Vento director, we needed to first do investigations. First, we need to have some solid evidence, and then we needed to go through the dispute process. Upon getting the information from our private investigators, including Josh, our head private investigator, I sat down and had meetings with the parents. I let them tell, what they needed to tell me. And then, and then they were, based on the information I responded with, they removed themselves. So we did not have to go through a dispute process.
So it's been about $1 million that has been saved.
Thank you. Any questions?
Go ahead.
How many students now is under the Foster Care Act this school year?
Yeah, we still have 8 students. And
Oh, so
then
there's
one, the
6, yeah.
parent did let me know this year that they were actually adopted, so they may not, that number is probably even lower. So when the student is actually adopted, then they no longer fall under either, and they have to qualify under normal residency requirements.
Okay, wonderful. I've never seen the numbers this low, so you guys. have
We
done an
worked
amazing
hard.
job. Yes.
We worked hard, thank you. Any other questions?
Any questions, Madam Vice, Madam Secretary,
Congratulations.
Mr. Buchanan,
Good job.
Mr. Morris?
Say good job. Say good job.
I'm
Good
sorry.
job.
Look at that Josh
And-
over here.
And I did all that as well.
Right.
Good job, guys. Great work, great work. Move right along to board president report. I don't have a long one tonight, but you guys helped me tell Mr. Morris a happy belated birthday.
Birthday, Jack.
Mr. Morris, come on around here. This is for you.
Wow. Lotto.
Do we still do birthday lists?
Shirt. That's you right there, Woody. It's all right. That's the boy.
So once again, happy birthday, Mr. Morris. And that concludes my report. Moving right along, superintendent report.
Yes, thank you so much. Good evening again, Board of Education, staff and community members. Our vision remains the same. I think it is strengthened. In fact, a lot of the teachers are coming up and just saying, how they're happy to see a difference, and especially, with the administration staff, and we know that it begins at the top. All right, board goal 3, programs and services. We had our administrators and administrative assistants retreat. The administrative assistants attended a customer service workshop and then joined us for our administrative retreat. We learned a lot about, and this was given by Mr. Cohn as well. And so we learned a lot about ourselves and how we act during certain situations, which was very insightful. If you go to the next screen, the next one was with everyone also coming together. I believe that may have been the last day of the retreat that we had. And so at this time, if the admin who attended, if you would just come up and give a word about your experience. And we thank you, Board of Education, for allowing us to come to participate. Just a brief one. Very brief.
I just look at you when she said brief. All right, I want you to know that being able to be out of the school and being able to talk freely, we learned about being able to trust one another in that environment and trust what we're doing and to have one voice. We came up with different hashtags and to have one voice and know that we are all here for the children. There's no us against them. We are all here to work together. And so when we come out as unity, community, as one voice together.
I feel like she just captured that all in one for all of us, but trust was the biggest thing. We were able to be open, honest, and vulnerable throughout the retreat. And the biggest part for me was we started talking about strategies and problem solving. And that's something that's big for me. It's not just coming with complaints and what's wrong, but what can we do right? What can we do right now moving forward to correct what wasn't maybe done perfectly in the beginning? So that was my take on it.
I also enjoyed the work that we did around trust and learning about the ways that we all approach problem solving. So I echo both Ms. Opari-Saforo and Ms. Kiefer in that as well. It was definitely something that made an impression on all of us. And we're really grateful to you for allowing us to take that time away and go do that learning together.
Thank you again for allowing us to attend. My favorite part was bonding with my colleagues and learning about their personalities.
For me, being, I think the newest member to the team here, it was the perfect opportunity at the perfect time for me to get to know the team that I'm working with a little bit better, to kind of hear, some of the obstacles that have been present in the past and to openly talk about how to fix those and move forward as a team.
I have one quick comment. I thank you for representing with your dunks.
Yeah.
Wait. Those are, wait. I got it. Those are Mike's.
Oh.
Those are Jordan. There we go.
So I like.
Yeah, nice though.
Okay, and this was our finale for the Freedom School. Many of you did have an opportunity to come out and to see it, but it was amazing. And I think this is the first summer session that we've ever had where children were crying when it was time to leave summer school. I've never seen that before. Okay, that concludes my report.
All right. Any public comments?
There are none.
Okay. Well, I move that the board go into closed session under 5 ILs.
No committee reports?
Oh, I apologize, Doc. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Board President, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are we still tracking data, student attendance data this school year being shared? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. So
Because I'm
starts.
curious, I do like the PDs and I know how beneficial it is. However, I know in our district, we had to pull back on it because it was impacting student attendance to grade. We had to stop, so much PD where students were getting released early because those were the days parents just didn't send the kids at all. So I'm just curious if it'll look different in this community than it did, a half a mile away or a mile away, I should say.
Yep, and so when we came in May and in June, we talked about changing up our days so the children wouldn't be out all day, but they would be out like an hour and a half early. And that's on Wednesdays. What we're going to do is they already have the plan mapped out to be working with the teachers and also teachers based upon what they need. A lot of that information came from the temperature checks. And what a lot of them said is that they wanted to be something that they could utilize right as soon as they went back to the class, instead of having a large dump on them and not really knowing what to do once you get back, because there's just too much information being shared. So we're chunking it.
Let's wonder how it's gonna impact the attendance of students. So it'd be great to see that.
Can I piggyback off of that? I think it's important, but we already kind of printed it and it's in action. So it brings up that, yes, the students are going to be released on Wednesdays, every Wednesday school year at 2:30. At 2, I'm sorry.
Hour and a half.
Did we connect the dots with the Park District, the other daycares in the area? And then that communication, I was told by you that it had went out the last year.
No, I was saying that the communication went out when we began, the last school year in May and June. And so it's also been on the flyers. What we're doing is we're working with PLCCA. I know that in speaking to a few people earlier about what happens if you don't have anyone to pick up the children earlier. So we are connected with them on a partnership with a grant where they will pay for people to come, and we're just going to be talking as a team about how to maybe make that work for parents who are unable to make that happen, and also make sure that the teachers have professional development.
Okay, so I do understand that professional development is important, but it's also equally important, just in my opinion, that we're doing something different. We're changing the climate of the district by allowing the students to leave an hour and 30 minutes early every Wednesday. And it was pretty much, to some people, just kind of sprung on them, even though we have had the conversations. And I'm trying to be very careful what I'm speaking and what I'm saying right now. But in terms of that, I think a blast or something else needs to go out, even though school starts on Thursday, as a reminder to the parents to let them know that this is something new that we're doing, and that maybe, or the admin team can talk about as either tonight or tomorrow, what are parents' options? Because this is a small district and that's gonna hurt leaving out, every Wednesday, an hour and 30 minutes before expected time. And that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, and it was also given out at registration too, but that's why we're working with PLCCA to see about that, because as we were having the conversations earlier, what I did is I called them. We already were partnership with them with the grant for the $15,000 that they would pay someone to come in, background check. We would make sure that we trained them on what they were supposed to do with the children, but that is another avenue. Because I do know that it costs to go to the Park District, and some of the parents may not be able to afford that. But this is an opportunity where it will be free through a grant that PLCCA has. We could get the amount or the numbers. We don't want to just broadcast so everyone is saying no, but those parents who are having issues, and especially with what they're going to do with their child for that hour and a half, to give them an outlet or something that could still be housed at Lindop.
And I guess the second part of, my thought process on this, I just hope that hour and a half, it equates monthly, to miss instruction period, instructional time. And our focus right now is on our 70. So I guess that's kind of making me feel some type of way that we're focusing to progress, but we're taking something away from our students.
But they'll still have it, and they'll still have work Dr. Best, you want to come up and address that?
While she's coming up, Dr. Jackson, I do know District 89, when they were having problems with parents picking up students on time, they have, a childcare type program in every building. So you may want to reach out to the superintendent there, how they did that, what organization they use, X, Y, and Z, just FYI. Thank you.
So we have designed the master schedule for the upcoming school year to make sure that every student in the building has math and reading before this 2 o'clock dismissal comes around. So things that might be missed could be something like PE in middle school, just one day would be missed. It may be that they miss a music class or an art animation class, and those things are, of course, important, and they are also interdisciplinary and connected to the core, but all of the math and reading will happen before 2 p.m.
As long as we have a backup plan, I'm okay with it. But I haven't seen anything as far as, or heard anything, what we're gonna do if parent per se doesn't pick up their child or they forget, do that child sit in the office for an hour and 30 minutes, So I'm just hoping that the team has some things in place.
So that hour and 30 minutes would be covered. The only thing is if the parents will come late, as they may or may not do it in the regular year.
Okay, thank you.
So will they be charged the late fee?
We have not had to do that. I know we talked about it a long time ago, but we've not had to do it.
Before we move forward, Mr. Dawson, is there anything that Robbie Park District has or can do for on this one day?
I can't really speak to that. I all I can say is that I would probably expect, as usually happens, most days when Lindop has a open day, there are children who come to the Park District. On Wednesdays, I usually have a free from 3:30 to 5:30. We call it rec time for the kids to come by. So I'm sure that on these Wednesdays, children will be, but I might have to adjust it to be earlier, because usually it's at 3:30 when Lindop got out.
Okay.
I would also say that if possible, maybe we should even talk to, like the Broadview Police Department, maybe just to make sure that on those days you have so many young children who walk home alone. Now they're going to be walking home at 2 o'clock to go use their key to get in, and they're in 4th, 5th grade or whatever. We might alert them, hey, on Wednesdays, make sure y'all have somebody circling, because we're going to have kids who ordinarily wouldn't be out alone and on those days. So, but I'll, now that I'm a bit more aware, I don't think that, the Broadview Park District can accommodate the number of children who will be coming from Lindop, but I think that on Wednesdays, I can make sure that you got a place to go at Schroeder.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And also with Robbie Police Department, that's something that I can put on Chief Mills' radar as well. So we'll definitely have that part covered.
That's a good point. Thanks, Dawson.
Okay. Committee reports. I almost forgot that. Personnel Committee meeting, Mr. Hannah, Ms. Griffin, Tuesday, August 10th, 2023 at 1 p.m. That next meeting date is to be determined.
Okay, basically during our meeting, we were made aware of the new hires and that basically every position had been filled with the exception of one, but in the interim, I was told that one position was also filled. So that was a good thing, and it appears as though we have eager people that are eager to teach our children.
I did know
Dr.
that as
Jackson,
well.
would you like to add anything to that?
Dr. J.
We just talked about the new staff that were coming in, and we also talked about the position that we still have open, which is the psychologist position, but we will be utilizing the psychologist from PACE for evaluations.
All right.
But we don't need her until October. Is that right, Ms. Kiefer?
So is that the one position that was a vacancy? Is that what we're talking
That's
about?
left now. We just got another one for another grade, but we can talk about it in closed session. And the Public Act has been enforced to hold certificates now. It was just signed by the governor August 11th. To hold certificates. If someone, August 11th, immediately. Immediately.
Good.
Immediately.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. 'cause I'm
And
the-
so what happens, no one is supposed to, tender a, resignation if there's 30 days or less for school to begin. It's been something that's been said before, but because of the teacher shortage, ISB was not enforcing that. But the governor just signed it in August 11th and it goes into effect immediately.
So is there consequences?
They hold their teacher license.
Oh, okay,
Absolutely.
for a year, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. It's an injustice to kids and they licenses need to be held.
All right. Finance Committee meeting, Ms. Griffin, Mr. Hannah. Thursday, August 10th, 2023 at 4:40. Next meeting date is to be determined. Ms. Griffin.
Okay, our finance committee meeting, basically, we were going over some of the things that Mr. Arndt went over earlier with what was anticipated with the kitchen equipment. I think that was the biggest thing that we went over in the finance. Was there anything else, Dr. Jackson, that I'm leaving out?
Nothing else.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Pace Governing Board meeting, Mr. Dawson, Mr. Morris, Wednesday, July 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Next meeting date is Wednesday, August 16th at 6 p.m. Mr. Dawson.
Yeah, Pace is also kind of deepening their relationship with West 40 as well. And so I think it's going to be really helpful because it'll give a bigger depth of services in the area, that collaboration. There's a new business officer at Pace. The previous one went over to Hillside, and I think that's a person with the depth of experience, and it's really going to help us kind of help with the infrastructure at Pace and get things keep things going in the right direction. Also, we should be getting our refunds if we haven't already. Usually we put our money in and then we kind of get refunded back the difference of that overage. And lastly, there's one property that Pace has a lease that the Pace Academy out of the old Divine Infant School, we're currently looking to see other options because it's pretty expensive, but I'll keep the board apprised on that if we need to cross that bridge and put in extra money. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Safety SEL Committee meeting, Mr. Morris, Mr. Buchanan. Next meeting date is to be determined.
Hey, question. So who is gonna do the safety thing now that, well, man, he gone, right?
Who you talking about?
Yeah.
What's going
He
on?
gone.
Is it something we? What's going on?
Okay. Yeah, but
There'll be someone,
we,
there'll be
I'm just
someone who'll
saying.
be, yeah,
Right.
there'll be someone.
No, I'm just.
Do we need to
asking,
talk in closed session
no,
about
no,
something?
no, I'm just asking, did we have somebody?
This man,
so, and
Yeah, it's gonna be taken care of. We don't have anything on the docket now. The last thing that was spoken about were the cameras. It was the crisis plan, making sure that that was right, and also
the walkie-talkies.
the walkie-talkies and the
Yeah, I remember,
swipe
I'm just saying, moving forward, I was just trying to figure out who was in the school.
He wants to know who from the school will replace.
Well,
who's,
here,
who's gonna do it now. So Ms. O will do it until we have our final thing, but she has all of the entire blueprint to go through. So it is, and it's really not anything coming up now. I know we're gonna be talking about some more drills. So she'll make sure that all of those things are completed.
okay.
Quick question, the walkie-talkie, is that coming up, as a, presentation soon? Cause I know that we had some issues with the walkie-talkie.
Right, there was one a little while ago, so they're just in the process of getting the walkie-talkies. We do have to go back and talk about the key cards because they wanted one for every door and we do not want one for every,
Right,
for everyone.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh. Go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Policy Committee meeting, Mr. Dawson and Ms. Williams Whitford, Wednesday, August 9th, 2023 at 2 p.m. That next meeting date is Wednesday, September 6th, 2023 at 4:30. Mr. Dawson, Ms. Williams Whitford.
I mean, we went over the policies 220 and 260 that were discussed in the last board meeting. There are a lot of first reads that you had in your, that we voted on in consent agenda. Trying to think of one policy in particular that might have. Dr. Jackson, did you want to speak on any particular policy that might be as relevant to the board? 220 and 260 were the ones that we talked about that I thought that the board would be interested in, but I don't have anything else.
Right, so there were no questions on those policies. They were on there to make sure that it went through the policy committee. And then the other ones were through the reviews. There were a few footnotes and legal references that were changed. For the most part, the policies were not, but everything is in board book and it talks about what changes will be made, and that's in the minutes.
Ms. Williams Wilford? Anything? No? Okay. Para CIA Committee meeting, Mr. Morris, Ms. Taylor, next meeting date is to be determined.
And guess, and I know you all, we haven't had one, but we just had our meeting. This was the first para meeting that we ever had, the internal, before we bring it to you all, where it was not more than one day. And it was about 3 or 4 hours, but we have a solid deal, and it is a way where children are gonna be, and where the teachers are going to be all in and making sure that everyone is held accountable. Ms. Schoenheider, can you come and say something about that, please? Just a couple words. Because it normally takes about 3 days and they're like 8-hour days going over para.
Hi, good evening. I've been a part of para since it started, and it was one of the most collaborative meetings we'd had in a long time. And Dr. Jackson has always been pushing for a really high standard. And we stepped up and we said, okay, we hear what you're saying. These children need to grow. So, and it also is saying that they're not going to go backwards. So not only do they need to grow, they can't go backwards. And it's intimidating for teachers to think that it's hard. But we are here to support. We hear what you've been saying about test scores. And so we're gonna make it happen, especially with all these new teachers, they're on board, and we're gonna get there.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Anything else? Technology Committee meeting, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Buchanan, next meeting date is to be determined. Strategic Planning Committee meeting, all board members, next meeting date is to be determined. Community Engagement Committee meeting, Ms. Griffin, Mr. Buchanan, next meeting date is to be determined. Negotiations Committee meeting, Ms. Griffin, Mr. Hannah, that next date is to be determined. Again, there's no public comment. All right. I move that the board go into closed session at 5 ILCS 120-2 C 124 and 8 to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, or performance of specific employees of the public body. Evidence or testimony presented in open hearing or in closed hearing were specifically authorized by law. Security procedures, school building safety, and security at 7:13 p.m. Can I have a second, please?
Sonia Taylor, second.
Roll call.
Board President Hannah,
Yay.
Vice President Taylor,
Yay.
Secretary Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Buchanan,
Yay.
Board Member Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Morris,
Yay.
Board Member Williams Wilford.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
And before we go into close, I mean, you all can go, thank you. But before we go into closed session, I'm sorry, I inadvertently forgot. Our custodians were on the agenda tonight to be voted on for full-time for 2 and 1 for part-time. I just wanted them to come up so you were able to see them. Mr. Saran Edwards Jr., Mr. Casper Powell, and Joseph Wellington, please.
Whenever somebody gets.
All right, from right to left, who's who?
Good evening, board. My name is Saran Edwards. I went here a few years ago.
Just working around the school, custodian.
And,
Welcome.
and the deal with them was that we would talk about them coming on full-time as a custodian as long as they continue in school. And so that was something very important. And so I'd just like you to talk about what your trajectory will be, what will you be focusing on, and then the other two gentlemen.
I attended the University of Arizona for the past 2 years, majoring in business, and I plan on taking a gap year this upcoming year, but continuing with my school after that.
And he's also going to be going through the certification pipeline and make sure that he has a skill set. So if anything happens to Lindop, he will still have a piece of paper with them. So that's important too. Thank you. Casper.
Good evening, board. I'm Casper Powell. Right now I'm going to school for psychology with a focus in criminal psychology. And I enjoy working here, and I look forward to completing my education.
Good evening, board. My name is Joseph Wellington. I'm maturing right now for engineering, and I plan to. I'm graduating after the next semester, and after this, I plan to go to UIC, get my bachelor's.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
I just want to add on, thank you, Board of Education, for allowing them to come on to the team. They've been a big help with the district. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all.
Mhm.
We about to go to close.
No, that's good.